And we're back. Okay, so what's next?
So one of the things that we're focusing on now, some when we talk about queer masculinity, is that while same-sex desire, we're seeing this movement in our country that same-sex desire is being more accepted. So we have this movement towards marriage equality. We have this movement towards people saying, it's okay to be gay. Sort of the Lady Gaga "Born This Way"
Sure.
kind of be proud of being gay kind of movement. While that is picking up steam, what we've also seen is that there's this continual disproportionate rise in violence against people who are gender nonconforming. And so we still are seeing people who fall outside of normative expressions of masculinity being targeted for hate crimes, basically.
Well, I mean, Lady Gaga isn't being targeted because she has too much power. She's seen everywhere. Or is she being targeted? Or is it that these people don't have recognition or still are being accepted for who they are?
So basically, I think where we're
sorry.
So no, you're fine. But so Lady Gaga, I think in her attempt to, I think Lady Gaga is well intentioned in saying, folks are, we need to celebrate everybody
for everything,
right? But what's getting lost in sort of mainstream society's interpretation of that message is it's okay for a guy to love a guy or a girl to love a girl, that sort of thing. But as long as you still prescribe to some fairly rigid constructions of gender. So if you're a guy, you need to look like a guy and act like a guy. And if you're a girl, you need to look like a girl and act like a girl within some reasonable constraints. Because otherwise, what we know from social psychology is that people become very socially dislocated if they cannot fit you in the male-female box.
Sure.
Like, they need to know where you belong, right?
Well, yeah, as soon as somebody looks at you and meets you, they do the once over and try to figure out what you are.
What you are. And
yes.
that starts at a very early age. And so what we know is that even in the gay and lesbian community, in the queer community, this judgment happens too. And so, we see ads in gay hookup sites, for example. I can't speak a lot for the lesbian community because I mainly study gay men and queer men. What we know is that in gay hookup sites, for example, there's this tendency for men to value other masculine men and to put in their ads, no femmes. If I wanted a woman, I would date a woman. So I need a man. I don't want anyone who is remotely feminine.
So no cuddling at the end, or are they being even super specific?
You can cuddle as long as you cuddle like a man. There's no
super specific.
So there's no,
sure.
So I mean, there's this pathologizing of the feminine that's going on even within our community. And so oftentimes when I talk to queer youth, what you find is queer youth saying, I can't authentically express myself because I really want to be a little bit more feminine, but I can't express that side of me if I want to get a date.
Yeah, that's not safe at all.
It's not safe, A, because I may get targeted and beaten up, and B, a lot of the guys out there don't value that. They want a masculine guy. They want someone, and so even me at 50 years old sometimes kind of upplay the masculinity part of me and like, I like beer. Well, I don't really like beer. I really want the pink frozen drink with the umbrella in it. But no, I'll drink a beer because it's more masculine, so.
I'm straight and I hate beer.
Okay,
but
see?
I'm also allergic,
nasty, so But so I think one of the things that we're concerned about as we look at researchers are concerned about is really this tendency that's happening for people who, even as we move forward in acceptance of gay and lesbian folks, is who's being left out of that acceptance. And so who is being left out is really our transgender folks and our gender nonconforming folks, in the sense that, you know, there's still this lack of tolerance, this pathologizing of their gender expressions. And so that's really sort of the next frontier in terms of both, you know, human rights struggles and also just in terms of education, in terms of helping people understand that some of the same same rights that we have now earned as gay and lesbian people who may express ourselves in sort of traditionally masculine and feminine ways, we now want to extend to people who are expressing themselves in gender nonconforming ways.
Okay, so how would you encourage people to start by, I guess, pushing the envelope a little bit more and expressing themselves a little bit more freely without really inviting that harm?
I think it's important to find a space where you can do that, because I never encourage people to
just go out into public.
And express themselves authentically and then put themselves in a space of harm.
Sure.
Because there are spaces in the country and in the world where that's just not safe.
Right.
And so the first
step is to find that community.
Is to find a community, a space where that's okay to do that in.
Okay.
And for some people, that space may only be online.
Okay.
You know, in a chat room, in some kind of a media context, because of where they live geographically or something. But that's a first step, right? And and other people may have the luxury of finding a community that exists in real time, you know. And the other thing I would say is, for people even who may not be wanting to explore, or who may not think that they want to explore sort of a more fluid expression of their gender, is to be open to the fact that other people don't necessarily live with the same constraints or the same rules around gender. And so just sort of being open to the fact that gender is not really the binary that we always thought it was. There are not sort of this list of male behaviors and list of female behaviors, and that we each need to stick to, and kind of thinking about gender in a more fluid way, and giving ourselves permission to be fluid, to cross over, to experiment again in places that are safe, and with people that we feel comfortable doing that with. So.
Cool. Well, then with that, I invite all of our audience to try to break that binary a little bit more. And thank you so much for having this conversation with us today. See you later, everyone.
Bye.